Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Brett Allan Show, a pop culture podcast where we interview your favorite celebrities from film, television, music, comedy, and more. Pretty much wherever pop culture hangs out, you will find us there waiting to talk to somebody. And today we have the super talented actress Nina Bergman, and she has a brand new film opening up November 5th. The film is titled Hell Hath No Fury. And that is not an understatement. I've had the privilege of seeing this movie ahead of time. That's just one of the benefits of being in the media. But it is a fun and fantastic film and keeps everybody on their toes. From the word go. Nina, welcome into the show. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching the movie.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. And I tell you, you've been a part of a lot of projects over time, but I have to say this one is, I mean, everything you've done is great, but this one is just unmarkably unbelievable. I mean, let's talk about this, how this role came about for you and how you got involved with the project.
I worked with the director before, Jesse Johnson. When I first came to town, I played his Wonder Woman. He did like a Wonder Woman fan movie that went viral before the original movie, and I was
Yes.
Wonder Woman. Yes. So we've been trying to find projects, and then I read the script and I fell in love with the character Marie, and I was like, I must have, I must play this one. But they had a big European name attached. That's how they got the funding of the movie, and I was like, I don't care, this is mine. And he was like, well, I can't really do anything because the studio and everyone, they're already, the reason why we have the money is because of this, woman attached. And then COVID happened, and they had a table read, and I begged to do the table read, and I was like, "Hey, just think of me as an intern or an understudy or something. Let me just do the table read." So he sent the night before. I stayed up all night, worked on the script, and came in as the character. You know what I mean? Came in as the character, did the table read, and everyone was like, "Well, that's Marie. Like, just hire her. Like, what's your problem?" You know what I mean? And all the actors fought for me, and then finally I got it. Yeah, so I had to fight for this one. I just because it's not an obvious choice where Marie has a very quiet inner power, and I'm more like I sing in a rock band, I box, I ride motorcycles, and Marie's, she's a victim of World War II. She's a resistant fighter, so her strength is a lot different from me, and she's very different from me. So it wasn't maybe an obvious choice, at the beginning.
Yeah, and that really kind of gives insight to how movies work, honestly, because they might attach somebody to a picture just because of the fact that they're a name, so to speak,
Mhm.
and it's going to get the funding. But that doesn't necessarily mean either that they might be the best choice. Obviously, this role I feel was destined to be played by yourself. And so you did a fantastic job.
Thank
I
you.
won't ask on the air, but I'm kind of curious about who the other person might be. I digress. That's just the weird part of my brain that's going, well, I want to know who it is. But it's okay. So this is a great film, and you had worked with this director before.
Mhm.
There's obviously a bigger message to this story
Yeah,
that people will hopefully get,
yeah,
and that is really, I think, what art and films are about. Obviously, we want to be entertained, but clearly there's a message here, a subtext that Jesse and you and the rest of the cast are trying to promote. And I think as an actor for you, that's important, I would imagine, right? For people to really walk away, whether it's not necessarily your job to convince people of it, but to just do amazing work like you all do, and then let people decide later. But there's a big message here for sure.
oh yeah. I mean, at this point in my life, I try to pick projects. You take the money projects, and then you pick the projects where, like with this movie, it's still so relevant because these are stories that are not told.
Right.
My character w- was a very, it's based on a true story and a comic book. and it's a very she was a very common character where in World War II these women would um, be sent out to fall in love with not pretend to have dates and fall in love with Nazis and SS officers and gather information. And that was what happened to me. My character's parents were killed by an SS officer named von Bruckner, and I met with him and fell in love with him. And did I not fall in love with him? I chose to fall in love with him. Because that's the tragic of these situations too. Maybe these two characters could have been soulmates if it wasn't that he was an SS officer and killed my parents, and I was a French resistance fighter who ended up in Ravensbrück jail for 3 months, in a concentration camp, and then, he actually got me out, and you know, so I don't want to give the whole movie away. So, but yeah, so it's just so relevant that these unsung heroes' stories get told, I think. And it's very important to tell them too because we don't want to repeat history.
No.
And I thought Jesse did a very beautiful job with, telling the story without telling, so it's watchable. All the research I did was so gruesome. I mean, I was crying myself to sleep every night. It was the deeper I dug into what was really happening back then. I mean, it was just, like I can't even. It was, it was horrible. So it changed me forever. So I just feel Jesse did a good job of showing, just enough so you get the sense of what happened back then, but still told the story and didn't make it too hard to watch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. I mean, for me, it was a great film. So I could understand how, as a creator and an artist and a director, you want to be honest with the material, but then at the same time, you don't want to, we're not going for like an, I don't know what another rating would be, but you know what I'm saying? Like you want to create something that's fun and that's big, but not like so over the top that it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Which it's going to be great fun and it's going to release in theaters nationwide. Did you get this done before the lockdown and all of that, or was it kind of in the middle of things? How did it work for you?
It was in the middle of things, so that's why it was such a special experience too, because I wanted to live walking distance from the location. I'm one of those actors, method, call it whatever you want, where I need to, with a movie like that, I need to be close. I can't, check emails, phones. I need to like immerse myself in this world, and I had to learn French. You know what I mean? I had to just try to, absorb as much as I could of that, what it was like to you just try to become her as much as I could. So we were living in a bubble because it was COVID. So I only saw like my co-stars. I couldn't, and then I'll go to my trailer. So it was like a very special experience. All I did was just sat and studied World War II. So my Nazi officers and my other, soldiers, and didn't talk to anyone. And yeah, it was a very educational and insightful, but very hard experience. And I ask myself almost every day, why are you doing this, Nina? Why are you doing this again? Why are you doing this?
Well, I mean, it's well worth it. I say, again, it's just a fun film, and I'm excited for people to be able to watch this and be fully immersed in. And I will go see it in theaters, obviously, as well, because there's something about that cinematic experience.
Yeah.
I mean, watching movies in home has been great, and even screeners is even better because. But then, like, no one wants to watch it, on a computer or a phone or a
Yeah.
tablet. It's meant to be enjoyed, on the big screen in IMAX. However you watch movies as a listener, you get what I'm saying, right? I don't want to overstate this. So you've done a lot of things, you've been a part of a lot of projects. What is your acting story, Nina? What really drew you into cinema and made you want to be an actor? Was it a film or maybe an interaction that you had? Like what interested you into this wild world of entertainment?
I've been doing it since I was a kid. My dad was a professor at the Danish Film School, and my Russian grandparents were gypsies, so they're traveling around. And I have pictures of me as a tiny girl with my girlfriend, and I choreographed something, and then I would stand on the street and dance and make money if I couldn't perform. Like, I was one of those kids where I just had such a need to express. I would write poetry on the walls at home, which my parents didn't like. But I just had such a need to express, which I still have. And then I felt that acting was the one that was most versatile, where I sing in a band and it's like kind of one character, so to speak. You know what I mean? Where I
Sure.
was a dancer and it was only physically I could express, as a ballerina. And so what I found was acting was where I could be everything. You know, I,
Wow.
I could embrace it all, and that's I did a lot of jobs that I did, because when you first come to America, you're like, yay, I'm working.
Waiting tables, all that stuff.
Yeah, and you say yes to anything, so you don't really think about building a career. You just work. And then I found myself in a place where I was like, oh, yeah, it's not really how I saw myself. I did it differently. I worked as an amateur boxer and paid for NYU because it was so expensive. So I couldn't wait tables. I couldn't, the modeling gigs didn't really, and the acting gigs didn't really pay for my tuition, but amateur fights did. So that's how I supported myself through college, to try to at least like get some sort of education. And I had a thick accent, so nobody took me seriously. I was like, hello, I'm Nina from Denmark. And they're like, all right, next. They didn't really,
Wow.
yeah.
Amateur boxing. So you were obviously that's just so different than what most stories are. That's how you paid for college is you fought people. I love it. That is like, well, I mean, there's more to it than that, but it's great. I mean, what a story to tell. I mean, that's fascinating.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have done it if I didn't have to, you know.
Sure.
But we do whatever we have to do. I can't hear anything on my right ear. My nose is broken. You can't really tell, but I can't breathe through my nostril. These are fake. My teeth. A couple of the teeth were broken. I mean, it's not really. It's. I think it sounds a little more glamorous than what it was. You know what I mean?
I get it.
But but we do what we have to do, right? To
Yeah. I mean, it's all about chasing that dream, right? And
yeah,
making it happen. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? Is you had a passion, you had a desire to be an actor, you wanted to pursue, you were going to college. So
yeah,
it's not like you were just doing this, for fun
yeah.
and like, banking the money and then just acting, but you were pursuing a degree. So let's be clear. You were doing what you thought you had to do, and it obviously paid off very well for you extensively. Who knows? Maybe you could do a boxing film someday, a martial
Oh,
arts.
I would love that. Even though I do think, $1 Million Baby was probably, you know,
Yeah,
yeah, one of the
it'd be
big
hard to touch that one. Yeah, there's
shows.
a
Yeah.
yeah. For me, it's Cinderella Man, but as far as
Oh, that
women,
was really good
yeah,
too.
Cinderella Man was great. Even Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal. Um,
Yeah.
was entertaining, of course, The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg. But back to the topic at hand, Million Dollar Baby, Hilary Swank, Academy Award winner, and such a tragic story.
Mm.
This film, Hell Hath No Fury, is again due out in November on the 5th.
Yeah.
And it will be available to watch in theaters and possibly streaming down the road, maybe.
Streaming on the 9th, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody can watch it anywhere, and it's very exciting, and my hat's off to you for all of the amazing work and giving us entertainment to consume and working and just following your passions, and allowing us to benefit from that, from this great film that people will soon have to and will be able to see. Nina, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.